I found my home in insurance and I haven't looked back. If I talk about values, I think for us, we're very deep-rooted in AXA Group. That's how you create a lot of cohesion in a federated organization. And AXA's special sauce, I would say, is that we're federated so that we have a lot of proximity in our markets, that we give a lot of entrepreneurial ability to our teams that are sitting in the countries. We want to be thinking about what do we want to drive as improvement and continuous improvements for our teams.
Welcome to this episode of GCC Unplugged, where we get raw insights from real leaders. I'm Saurav Kumar, a consulting editor with the Economic Times and host for this podcast. Our guest today is Michele, CEO of AXA Global Business Services. AXA GBS is not just the backbone of AXA's operations across technology, data, operations, and risk. It is also a key driver of transformation, innovation, and resilience for one of the world's largest insurers. Thank you, Michele, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are a true enthusiast for everything technology and a nature lover, I understand, who loves skiing, hiking, and kayaking. So, which was the last great place amidst nature that you were, which you really, really liked, and what was that you liked about it?
Well, probably about an hour north of Dehradun. Okay. I was just there a couple weeks ago, and it was absolutely spectacular. I was in the middle of the jungle. I saw elephants. It was truly a magical place. So I think in India, there's so many wonderful places to really enjoy nature. If I'm in Europe, then I'm usually someplace in the mountains, in the Alps, right. Usually in Austria.
Right. Okay. All right. Great. Yes. India, and especially the place you are in right now, you look around, you have, greenery and elephants and, backwaters and everything. So briefly, tell me about the role that AXA GBS plays in the overall AXA, universe, and the core mission and values that guides AXA GBS.
Thank you. Yes. No, I think AXA has a long history of having GBS or GCC structures. As a federated model, we've historically, through mergers and acquisitions, had many different types of them. Through our strategy, Unlock the Future, we've brought many of them together to work under an umbrella that is from the group. And we're really locked into this Unlock the Future strategy, so we're really part of it. And I think this is really a change. In the past, it has been really as an extended workbench. Now we're really part of the fabric of the overall strategy. What does that mean? That means that we are providing deep competency and technology expertise, but also operations expertise. And that's really where we started as AXA Global Business Services and our sister organizations, ASM and ESS in Morocco, Gergau. Really at the heart of the insurance operating model. So we're talking actuarial colleagues, we have global risk, we have deep expertise in underwriting. In many of our locations, we run a very significant part of the claims processes for AXA Group. And that was the start. But what we thought and what we need in order to continue to evolve, we've created what we call internally the tech data and operations strategy, which is really bringing kind of the breadth of AXA to the forefront and really taking the next step on our technology journey. That is in a bunch of different areas. One, rolling out and cleaning up our technology platforms. The second piece is all around AI, and I think nobody out there today is talking about anything else, us included, and so really doubling down on our AI journey. And the last piece is around operations, which is really around where do we source the very best talent, where do we want to have our operations located, and how can we really scale our shoring ambition. And that was committed also to our end markets by our Deputy CEO, that we would grow our footprint in our shared service companies by 2% by the end of this strategic plan, and we're well above plan actually, so we will make that quite easily. If I talk about values, I think for us, we're very deep-rooted in AXA Group. That's how you create a lot of cohesion in a federated organization, and AXA's special sauce, I would say, is that we're federated so that we have a lot of proximity in our markets, that we give a lot of entrepreneurial ability to our teams that are sitting in the countries. But at the other end of the scale, we need to have some sort of group effect. And so for us, I think our values are one of the key components of creating that cohesion, as well as our shared service centers, and we can talk more about that. And for AXA Global Business Services, we have some key ones such as walk in their shoes. That means that we really want to be in the proximity of our entities to really understand their business models and be able to deliver for that business model, but also in the shoes of our employees, things like Dare to Find Better. We don't want to be just a shared services center or GCC that's taking orders, but we want to be thinking about what do we want to drive as improvement and continuous improvements for our teams and others. So we have really deep values that link us to the overall AXA group, and I think it's also part of our special sauce.
Okay. So you said that, and it's interesting because there's no conversation which can be done without mentioning AI today. Do you think we are using or overusing this term for everything? And how at AXA, if you can give me an example and tell me where it has really worked for you?
Yeah, and I think it's a good question, and I think we were hearing some statistics earlier today around whether or not we're seeing value for the investments that we're doing.
Right.
I like to equate it a little bit similar to what it was in the boom of the e-business boom. I don't know if you remember that in the 2000s, where we all were very heavily investing in it, and then we had that moment of pause where we're like, none of this is working.
Right.
I think probably in AI, there might be some of that ingredient there. That being said, for AXA, we have very early on made a very significant push in this direction. And why? Why? Because we're an insurance company and all we have is data, right? So we have the ultimate virtual product and we don't have anything physical. And so we have a lot of data, and it's a natural fit for us to use these technologies. And we've been doing it for years, usually more in the classic AI side. What AXA has done very early on is creating our own secure GPT platform that drives and uses different LLM models. And because it's secure and because it's only accessible to AXA, we're able to use it in a different way than if we were going to be using open models because of security and data privacy issues. So we believe that we have the ingredients to really drive this. Now, where are we driving it? We have in our strategy kind of 4 core areas. The first one is underwriting. We believe that we can do much better underwriting and give our customers better risk coverage than we are able to today if we're using Gen AI and AI capabilities. 2, in call centers. We use it as an example in one of the use cases. It's prescribing or basically writing at the same time as we're talking to our customers, already putting the data into our systems, already looking at what we can offer them as a solution, especially at the moment of claim, so that we're able to give a better experience. The next one is all around claims management, and obviously in first notification of loss and in those areas, looking again to be more efficient on the one side, but even more importantly, to offer better experiences for our customers. And lastly, and certainly not least, we see huge applications in our own engineering and IT fields of using AI and Gen AI capabilities in order to improve our engineering capabilities as well. So I think for us, we're already, I would say, quite advanced in the sense that we have many different use cases. We're already in production for many of them. One of our leading entities is AXA Switzerland, but we have AXA France and many of them that have already have them in production. And I would say that we're not so pessimistic on the business case. What we do see, though, is what we call micro value. Micro value is very important if you're thinking about shared services, because you're creating value, but not at a full FTE. You're not able to save a full FTE. Or you have micro values along the line. So how do you harvest all of that micro value? That's a half a FTE here, a quarter there, et cetera. I think this is one of the things that we're still exploring on how to do that. But we see real value, not just on number of FTE as an example being used, but also on the experience that we're able to give our customers.
But then you can't measure the ROI that we were talking about.
Exactly, and that's always, and that really is one of the challenges, because at the end of the day, we know it's driving value. We can see that it's driving value, but it's incremental value. And so right now, indeed, at the group level, we're working on how do we create models in order to capture that value. and how do we articulate it? And this is a bit of a new world because it's not the classic business case world.
Correct.
And so we are at the moment really working hard together with the business, with our group finance colleagues, in order to make sure that we understand how do we see that and how can we make the right business decisions on the basis of this kind of new world order that we see in front of us.
Okay, all right. So, there is, I was going through your website and saw something called the culture of daring and caring. So, how does that help you?
Yeah. And I think if you think about us as an insurer, we are by definition risk adverse. So
that's the irony, though.
That's the irony of it, is it not? That's the paradox. But I think indeed that's kind of the core of what caring and daring is all about. First of all, caring about our people. And our real deep fundamental belief is to protect what matters most, and that's the essence of an insurance company. And I think living that and with our customers, but also our employees, is really the care part. So I think it's quite easy way to describe care. On the dare part, it is around us finding new ways and new avenues to create insurance and insurance coverage, but to think outside our typical risk confounds. And some of the key themes in that are insuring the uninsurable. What I mean by that is that for a long time, there are segments that have not been able to have access to insurance, and creating new ways and new ideas of how to be able to provide them coverage is part of that. The second part is around ensuring, for instance, we've extended in France our home policy to cover domestic abuse. So we always used to cover if you had a flood or if you've had a fire, that we would give you a hotel and housing, et cetera, to take care of you. But we've just extended that for domestic violence. And we're the first in the market to do that. But if you call a special number, and that's very prevalent on our website, then someone will come and get you and take you to safety. And those are the things that we like to say on the dare side, because they're very untypical from our classic insurance thinking, because they're out of the norm of our risk thinking. But I think they really add value to the world and to our customers for sure. And that's what we mean by dare.
Yeah. I think India is a place where this, and I've been covering insurance for a long time, the penetration has remained abysmally low, and I think, I don't know, with the use of technology, because this has been a push product for most of us here, and very difficult to probably, if these technologies or these changes can help. Let's talk about you. You started your career in IT consulting in 1992, if I'm correct. So what were the,
You're dating me.
No, I just looked up your LinkedIn. So, along the way, what were those pivotal moments which, really changed the way you think and your leadership as it is today?
I think looking back, so I started actually, funnily enough, I have nothing to do when I started in IT. I fell into IT, if you will.
Yes, I saw your.
I studied politics.
Yes,
so
correct. Yeah, I saw that as well.
I did. That being said, I think my core is business process reengineering. In the 90s, that was really the key thing. But it fascinated me how you can create really fundamentally better processes and how to actually bring them to life, and you do that through IT. So I think that was really the starting of my journey. And it's IT is very logical, so I felt quite natural into that. And process development was something that I found quite interesting. I think pivotal in my career was probably, there's a couple chapters, and kind of the first chapter was working for government agencies in this capacity. A completely interesting world, creating and working towards more efficient processes. Now that's heavy going because it's never easy. Government is never easy, but quite interesting areas there. And it really caught my interest to think around how we can bring additional technologies from the, let's say, mainstream or from a corporate world into the government. So there was a lot there. The second piece was all around doing consulting. In the old days, it was called CRM, and it still is sometimes, and it keeps coming back. So I keep feeling like I'm back in style again. But I really was very interested on the customer interface and understanding how customers react, how we can provide a better service to customers, and was in a lot of different industries, from banking, utilities, all in everything in between. But I think in 2000, I found my home in insurance, and I haven't looked back. One, because I really feel that that product speaks to me. It's something that I think if we get it right, it can add a lot of value to our customers. And so I've been working in insurance since then, and as a consultant and until 2012, and then I moved onto the corporate side. So I think my fascination with daring to do better and really looking to see how we can improve processes, capabilities, IT has been really what has driven me. And I think I can now bring a lot of that experience to what I'm doing at AXA and my GBS world, is how to kind of transform that thinking as well there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So I also read about you, and that you're a strong advocate of raising awareness about cancer and recovery. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm a cancer survivor, and I believe that it's important that we're able to empower those who have any experience with it or experiencing in their families or themselves through our own stories. And so I really believe strongly that we need to advocate for having that level of communication about it. I think cancer and surviving cancer is everyone's own journey, but it's so prevalent in our society, our families. If not ourselves, we all know somebody who is going through cancer. And so I think for me, it's about talking about it, creating platforms where we can exchange about it, creating awareness, and creating policies within our organizations to support those and their families better through this type of impact that they have on their lives.
Right. And I understand, because cancer, the name itself is bigger than the disease probably, and people really get scared and lose hope. Probably that's where they lose out. So I'm very happy that you're a strong advocate, and as you said, everyone knows one story, very intimate, personal story, where someone has been struggling with cancer. So let's talk about AXA GBS, which supports the firm's insurance, reinsurance, and other offerings through cutting edge technology. So how are you leveraging, while you have already explained some bit of it through your AI piece, but how you're leveraging technology and to add value, maybe in analytics or risk management or wherever?
Yeah, as I was mentioning at the beginning, our starting point was, let's say, core insurance processes. So I think we started as really a BPO house and dabbled a bit in tech over the years, but really with the shift in our strategy and very much aligned to the strategy of the group, technology is playing a real role in what we're providing to our entities. And I think I'll use one example because that might bring it to life. For us, we believe that we drive value not through the number of FTEs we have, but the impact that we can make back on our businesses. And so one of the things that we do is we've started an industrial automation hub. It's now 2 years running. And that has this hub has RPA technologies, which are more traditional, but also brings together Gen AI technology, so a broad range of different technologies. This team is tasked to hunt for optimization potential, both in our own portfolios, so of our own teams and our own BPO teams, as well as onshore teams. As I like to say, to cannibalize our own model. I think that's really where you can start seeing a lot of value being driven through the combination of deep knowledge of our processes and technologies that you can use to apply to that. And we have very tough targets, and we are pushing pretty hard, but there's significant FTE numbers that we're able to reduce on the one side through automation, on the other side through the expanding capability sets that we have, both up the value chain in our BPO services, but also in our technology space. It really is a pari. So we're actually growing as an organization, but we're able to automate some of the lower level work. And that's super exciting, actually, as a proposition to our people, because we're training them and upskilling them so that they're able to do higher value work. And that makes us more valuable also to our overall company.
Right. And that's exciting for the employees also, because they kind of feel empowered, and their own careers probably.
For sure.
Yeah. So you have you operate to various centers around the world, Portugal, Hong Kong, others including India. So how do you compare Indian centers with others, especially when it comes to disruptive innovations?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nothing to be said around the absolute power of the engineering talent that we have in India. And I think, India produces, I think if I'm not mistaken on my statistics, around 1 million engineers a year. I mean, that's just mind-boggling to most people. I think you see also a real thirst for innovation in India. I think what we need to make sure is that we're creating the right platforms and the right space for Indian engineering talent to actually be able to innovate. And I think that is one of the things that we're hopefully trying to get right within the context of AXA, is that we're allowing through our co-create, so it's co-create, co-develop, co-deliver model, that we're working together with our entities, that we're able to really harness that capability set of India. I think each geography has very, very interesting talent. We have teams that are in Morocco that do a phenomenal job on cybersecurity, as an example, which they have deep, deep expertise, as well as our team in India, so they actually work together as one global team. So there's pockets of really amazing talent around the world, but I mean, it's undeniable that India is fundamental to powering all of the new innovation just through the sheer amount of talent and high quality talent that we have here.
So, you have a view from the perch in terms of looking at various centers. So, if I understand that India, yes, we have, STEM graduates coming out in huge numbers every year. But if there is one area in terms of, technological know-how, prowess, if you may say, that India can probably improve on, what would that be?
That's a difficult question, but I think at the end of the day, I think India, because it has such a broad mass of different capabilities, I think it needs to probably orient itself better to what is the actual demand that is needed.
Right.
I sometimes it feels a little bit like a spray can. So we do everything for everyone. Question is what does India really want to be famous for? And I think that's a real interesting question, because I think there's the ability to kind of put a couple stakes in the ground. There's no reason why Silicon Valley needs to be Silicon Valley. I think there's enough great talent in India to be an equal pari to a Silicon Valley. But I think India tends to be a reflection of the needs of so many, as opposed to potentially creating its own identity around what it wants to be famous for. So if I could give any sort of hint to that, I think it would be good to try to find a couple domains, and we were talking about it in our roundtable earlier today, a couple domains of where we could really develop top talent. For instance, one of the areas that we have in our own insurance area is actuarial capabilities. I think it would be absolutely possible for India to be one of the really world leaders in actuarial capabilities. The ingredients are there. It's really difficult to find actuaries in India. We have a lot of training that we put into it. So the capabilities are there, but I think that could be something that India could do more, is to choose a couple battles, and certainly AI would be one I would highly recommend.
Right.
But I think that would be what I would advise.
Yeah, true. I think that also stems from the fact that something that we have not been able to solve, which is the academia and the industry divide. But honestly, some development has happened in that area, and possibly there would be more. And this, we'll have more capabilities. And yes, probably compartmentalizing what we want to choose and move ahead. It's something we'll be doing. A couple of questions more. So, how do you ensure that the GBS is not just just a cost efficiency hub, because that's not sufficient anymore.
No,
right?
It really isn't.
Yeah, but true innovation, and it has to be a true innovative capability center. How do you ensure that?
I think so I couldn't agree more. So that's the first point. The second thing is, I think it's deadly to measure us in size. And I think that's the first Achilles heel. So everyone talks about number of FTEs, and you're significant if you have a significant number of FTEs. I think for us, it's around what is our value contribution and being able to articulate that value contribution. And it's not just, as I said, a number of FTEs. The second piece is you have to be manically aligned to the group strategy.
Right.
And don't let it, in my opinion, leave it up to simply the entities that are working with you, right? You have us as we have to have our own identity. We have to have our own vision and our own strategy around how do we want to contribute to the group strategy, and what type of capabilities do we want to build. As an example, when I started with AXA Global Business Services, we had 3,300 people and 3,000 different services. Now, a little bit, parrying on the question that we just previously had, it's impossible to be high on the capability scale if you're doing everything for everyone and very incrementally. So I think part of that, of making sure that we are a capability play, is focusing on what it is that we want to do that is fundamentally linked to the strategy of the group and what they need. And then the question is also around being able to actually develop those capabilities, and we invest a significant amount of money, and we have the ability to invest money in developing capabilities and then also showcasing them. So I think you have to connect it from top to bottom, right, which is why we don't have a typical GCC that has an India head. We're a global organization. My ex-com works across the entire portfolio of AXA Global GBS, whether they sit in India, whether they sit in Morocco, whether they sit like me in Paris at headquarters. And I think also anchoring the GCC at headquarters is quite helpful in the sense that you're then able to make sure that it's completely linked with the rest of the strategy of the group. And then you're able to showcase capabilities because they're undoubtedly here. Right. You just need the opportunity to bring them forward.
Right. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us here. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you. And I hope that more and more innovations come from India and which can be scalable globally, especially in the sector insurance, which India is abysmally, pathetic in terms of adoption. So probably, innovations at your center and others in this field will help us, penetrate this insurance uptake in the country much more. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.